Remarks on Amendment S3241 to Senate File 579.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment is pretty simple, but it's pretty nuanced as well. Let me explain. In the current bill, minors are kind of not really thought of or mentioned. So this amendment would say if the pregnant person is under 16 years of age, they would be allowed to have an abortion. So that's the simple part. But what's really more nuanced and difficult is, as some of my colleagues have alluded to, in the criminal code in Iowa, minors are really in a precarious position. Many times, court cases are the only things that really spell out their rights, and that's after the crime has already been committed. So, has this young person been assaulted? What is consent? Was this criminal? We've already determined that predators are actively seeking out this age group. It's not fair to put the burden on a minor for anyone under age 16 to sort out these issues on their own, which, as we've already discussed, these arbitrary dates and times and kind of made up numbers are saying that this person under the age of 16 has to deal with all of this and try to determine all of these things, sometimes on their own, and I'm guessing more than often on their own, to determine if they're pregnant, to tell a trusted adult, if they even have one around, to report to the proper authorities with evidence. This here is not supporting survivors through our legal system. Not to mention that no one in this age group is capable of raising a child on their own. The state should not force babies to birth babies. That is what potentially could happen if this amendment is not adopted. And also, at this point, the child is a minor. What about their parents? What if their parent wants them to have an abortion? Isn't that parental rights, folks? I wonder about that sometimes. What is parental rights? So that's the amendment, pretty simple. If they're under age 16, they would be allowed to have an abortion. That's the amendment. I urge you to vote yes, and I call for a record. So in committee today, we attempted to get Senator Sinclair to further define some of the concepts and words in the bill, but she rather declined to do that overall. I think this is another example of what my dad used to call Mickey Mouse BS, which is word salad, basically. And it really didn't answer the basic question, and that is, does a child in this state who may or may not have been sexually assaulted, who may or may not have been raped, who finds themselves in a difficult situation without the faculties of an adult, should that person be held to the same standard as an adult under the law? I think all of us who have had 16-year-olds, I've had two, would say no. That is not possible to be holding them to the same standard. So once again, colleagues, I ask you to vote yes for this amendment to protect children, and I ask for a record. Thank you.